So like the question was like, would you do a video about super chats of people that like pay but don't actually get like their questions responded?
Specifically about them, what they feel like.
Yeah. Because there was like a guy who was like, "Oh, I've spent so much money on super chats, but my questions never get responded to." And then Linus is like, "Oh, that was a waste of a super chat."
So I watched the WAN show today. This morning, and it was quite funny. They did a lot of stuff. I believe we are live of some sorts. Let's have a look on the scale of things. It says orange, so it says maybe stream
it's
health.
Orange. Get ready to go.
Stream health looks a little bit low. Let's have a look. No, seems alright. New live stream. You are live. The internet can totally see you now. To stop, use your encoder. Okay, in any case, we don't seem to be dropping anything. It seems to be loading. So, welcome to another episode of the State of the Beanstalk. I keep forgetting. I keep looking over there.
Oh, wait.
The camera's over here. My name is Techman Pat, and
I'm Casper from Game with Casper.
So, welcome everybody. I hope you guys are really excited for the next hour. We've got some really awesome news. We've also got a couple of drinks in our hands, so things might get a bit rowdy. We've got, shall we list off a couple of things?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fire away.
So Sony and the ACCC, that's going to be a bit of a doozy, but I think ACCC won this time around, so let's talk about that in more depth. What do we got next, Casper?
What do we got next? Oh, yes, the same thing. And then we got Intel Tiger Lake leaked benchmarks.
Ooh. So the 11th generation, the 11th series generation. Oh, thanks for that, Shane. Welcome, Hammy. Welcome, everybody. And we've got new AMD graphics cards will arrive before the PlayStation 5.
Oh, yes.
And Xbox.
Yes. Okay, I've got already something to talk about on that.
Okay,
yeah, keep going.
And a few more PlayStation 5 news. Unfortunately, we had things not go through. We'll talk about that in a moment. And what's this one, Casper? I didn't know about this
one. So there were some rumors that came out this week regarding Bloodborne, that it's potentially coming to PC. It's being remastered for the PS5, so we're going to get some 60 FPS 4K gameplay, supposedly. But yeah, that's one of the leaks that kind of shot out of what Sony was supposed to reveal this week, which they didn't. But we can just talk about it briefly later on. Yeah.
And that's it. So welcome everybody. We'll just roll the intro and be right back. There we go.
Hey.
So, if you guys joined us last week, we had some technical issues, and I have to apologize to Casper because I was saying it was his internet, his NBN. It actually turned out that it was my laptop. For some reason, it was just not having a good day, not a good connection, and I didn't even notice it using it at home because it was fast enough to load web pages, but just not good enough to stream. The connection seemed to get disconnected no matter what, if I plugged it in the Ethernet or if I plugged it into, if I just connected via Wi-Fi. So my solution to solve that was to just reinstall Windows, reformatted. But, Casper?
Yes?
Do you accept my apology?
Yeah, man. I feel like the score now is like Patrick 500, NBN 1. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, that's true. So what happened with your computer? Because I know this might be an ongoing segment of our show.
Yes, the computer that will never live. Oh, man, yeah. Some major issues with my PC. Like, myself and Patrick have been trying to figure out why does it keep freezing? Like, it's just freezing and crashing all the time.
What's the spec? Because I don't think we ever mentioned it.
So the specs, I've got a 3600X Ryzen. So that's a Series 2 Ryzen?
Zen 2,
Zen 2. That's a 5 series, Ryzen 5 or something like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
i5 or whatever it's called. And 60 gigs RAM. I've got the 1080 GTX. Yeah, I know, old school 2016 model.
But you got it day one.
I got it day one. Yeah, day one. And still, to this very day, this GPU is remarkable, and it's still talked about how revolutionary it
Yeah,
was.
the 1080 series and then 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowingly good.
Mind-blowingly good for its time. Like,
and for
it's
the
actually,
price.
Yeah, for the price. And it's keeping up.
Yeah.
Kind of, to this day. 1080p gaming is awesome. But yeah, my PC just kept freezing and we couldn't figure out what was going on. Replaced all these parts, including the motherboard, CPU, RAM.
Yeah.
Still freezing on a regular basis. And I thought, oh, maybe it's certain programs. No, it still kept freezing, and randomly as well. So then replaced the power supply. It's currently working. I don't know for how much longer.
But to note, Casper hadn't reinstalled Windows.
Yes, I reinstalled Windows as well.
Until now.
Yeah.
So this is the first
now.
time.
And also because Patrick believed, and I think you're right, in the sense that potentially cables or something is touching the back of the motherboard. Or there could be some sort of magnetic waves or frequencies being emitted by the actual case in itself.
Yeah, if you've got an overly metal case, not aluminium but metal, there might be something touching the back of your CPU because it's all exposed at the back. Unless you have a very expensive motherboard where it's got the shroud, which is pretty much useful nowadays, I suppose. But if something's touching and it might be shorting only at a point where, if you keep your computer on the carpet, it might build up some static energy and something might short. It might just for a moment, but that'll be enough to just freeze it. Won't be enough to damage it.
Yeah.
It'll be enough to freeze it
enough
a little
to
bit.
freeze it.
Yeah.
And Hammy actually just said that his guess is it's overheating. We thought of that as well, but then we ran the ADA64 it was running at 100% at 40 degrees, steady. Those Zen CPUs are king, man. They're really good.
The coolers are actually really impressive.
Yeah, the stock coolers are really good.
Yeah,
so we were like, okay, it's not overheating because it was 40 degrees all the way through at 100% load.
If you have the 3900 or the 3950X, that's potentially when you'll need a water cooling.
Okay.
For your CPU, but potentially you might not even need to if you're not doing any heavy workload, but nobody's going to buy it if you're not doing heavy workload. And actually, I was going to mention to you guys, if you're out for the market to buy any new tech gear, or specifically AMD CPUs, they're all on sale now. And if you're wanting to be on a budget, it's a really good time to spend a little bit more to get that higher level CPU, but at a discount. They're all on sale on Amazon, a couple of other websites around. Just check Ozbargain. I think that's probably my favorite place to go. And Hammy, we did test the RAM. We did a few tests of the RAM, and it was fine. I actually thought it was also the incompatibility of the CPU and the RAM, but that seemed to be fine. So for now, what's your most powerful workload that you put on it?
I would probably say Streamlabs, probably streaming.
Okay.
And Premiere Pro, and just multitasking, doing Photoshop and Premiere at the same time.
Would that freeze it?
Well, no, it's not freezing it now, but before I did anything and it froze.
Oh, okay, right.
I would be web browsing and it's just froze.
So at the moment, I've got a Core i7 7700K, and I'm going to be upgrading to the next Zen 3 AMD. And right now, we're actually changed our stream a little bit. We're streaming it at 1080p, 30 frames, but we're also up to the bit rate to 4500, which is apparently the minimum for 1080p streaming. So we've got 17% CPU usage, but green lights all around. We don't have any dropped frames. So we should be able to stream that on your side too, on your house next week. I'm sure it is. So, all right, without further ado, I was going to say something. I had a bit of a...
something about CPUs, Ryzen, or...
well, I was just about to pull the trigger on the 3950X, but my wife sort of talked me out of it and said, just wait till Zen 3. So I'm going to do that. But at $1,000, I was looking at an improvement of about 130% or something from my i7. The i7 awesome. Was never, top because there's an i9 now, and that's what it was competing with. But I just thought, hey, you know what? It'll be great to do a video about it. So you guys stay tuned. We'll have some AMD. We'll try and get the highest CPU to try and do a cool review and results. Let's get started into our first topic, and I think this is probably, I love Australia for the way it protects its consumers. And it's not just in, not just in buying things, but also when you get services and when you, even when you service your car. I know it's a service, but there's a lot of protections around that. Not so much buying a car. I think you still end up getting lemons a lot. But take us through it, Casper.
Yeah, so this is the ACCC case that I think has been going on for a while. Like I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago. No, the case began in 2019, actually.
May.
So no, I was thinking of something else. But this one, started last year. And basically it was about consumers like purchasing games on the Sony PlayStation Store, like digitally. And there were some games that weren't working. And I think the policy for Sony is, and has been for some time, that when you purchase a game, if you started the game or if you downloaded the game, you can no longer get a refund. But the fact is, the consumers, they have games where they're glitchy or they're not working or there's something wrong with them. So obviously the ACCC filed a claim here on behalf of its individuals, constituents, because they are selling faulty products. And it looks like we have won this battle. It's 3.5 million. It's obviously nothing in the bigger scheme of things.
For Sony, let's just be clear.
Nothing,
3.5 million isn't anything, but it does hopefully make them take notice about how to treat consumers in Australia, because digital goods have often been viewed as toys, or usually they are, games, video games, and I think a lot of big companies don't take notice. So for the ACCC to take notice, I think is a big step. I think it's a really good thing. And the fact that digital goods aren't physical goods, it's also trying to connect value to something that's digital. You know how they used to say stealing is when you take something away and it's missing, but then the comparison is, well, piracy, just copy. Well, two things still exist,
you're multiplying it.
You're multiplying, yeah. So the idea that we've actually now set this value precedent that if you buy something digital and you have an issue with it, you have a recourse to deal with, no matter how big the company is, because Sony is quite big. So I think the fact that they're, being taken to court will help with everything else after the fact. Any smaller company will be too afraid, because if Sony could be taken down, then they won't do the same thing.
Oh yes, this definitely does open the doors for everybody else. So I think Australia did a great job here, protecting its gamers.
Let me read you what Rod Sims said, ACCC chairman. Consumer guarantee rights do not expire after a digital product has been downloaded, and certainly do not disappear after 14 days or any other arbitrary date claimed by a game store or developer. I really like that, other arbitrary date, because even Steam used to do that. I think it was, 2 hours gameplay?
That's
and
right.
2 weeks owning? Or something like that. And they got taken to court, didn't they? Valve?
I don't know, but
I think they did.
I think they must have,
Let us know in the comments if you guys remember that. Actually, I have a question for you guys for the stream. Have you ever refunded a digital item? Tell me what it was, because I think my question to you is, have you ever refunded?
Yes, and this was like the first time that I ever did it. It was because there was a recommendation that came in from you.
Thanks.
Because it was a wide-scale, massive movement by the consumers where No Man's Sky, was it that
That's
game?
right, yeah.
No Man's Sky was the game. We all know what happened with that game.
Yeah.
They didn't live up to their promise. And Patrick actually sent me a link of everybody that was making complaints and getting refunds. And I thought to myself, hey, why don't I just do the same? And it was so easy. He basically sent me like a copy of like what I should write. Pasted it in my email, sent it across, and the money was back within 24 hours.
I remember that game when we bought it, because I think we were excited to travel the galaxy together.
Yeah. Was it quintillion planets or something like that?
But I'm sure, we don't need to go through the history, but that just didn't happen day one. It didn't happen day 6 months later. It was all the overpromise that was hyped with the game. We got on the hype train as per usual. It was a small indie developer, and we hoped for the best, and just, we spent a couple of hours trying to find ourselves.
Yeah, no chance. It's like a bajillion planets.
Yeah. And then the video came out that 2 players did actually find themselves on the same planet, whereas the creator, and I can't remember his name right now, did come out and say it's impossible. The chances of, and I guess maybe he was betting on it, but the chances of people finding each other were minuscule.
Exactly.
And
you have higher chances of winning a lottery.
Yeah, exactly. So they did find, and obviously you now know the history. But I would like to say, in defense of this game.
That's right. I was gonna say as well. A bit of respect to them because they have built upon it so much over time. And you compare it to something like Fallout 76, where they just failed tremendously and they've just tripped over themselves at every step of the way, and they have just really done wrong against the consumer, like all the way through. Whereas these guys have worked so hard to redeem themselves. I think there's like some sort of mech warrior suits now that you can make or use in the game now. Like they've just built so many things in the game.
Yeah, it's like a full-on redemption story, and if you really want to know about it, I suggest you go on the YouTube channel. What is it? Incognito? No, something. The Internet Historian.
Oh yes.
He did like a good 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, love him. He did a good show about that whole saga and how it's progressed to today. Today, this game is extremely good and popular. It certainly has ticked off some of the boxes it promised, but not necessarily just yet. I don't think it's got everything, but it is one of those things. Oh yes, congratulations to the Eastern States for your long weekend. Hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe, don't drink and drive. I think things and pubs are open now. Hey Alana, welcome. And what else? I was going to say, we had our last long weekend last week.
That's right.
Did you go away anywhere?
No, I was homebound.
Because we're allowed to go out now.
Oh yeah, no, I was getting ready for my new job. That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
bracing myself.
New job for you. Are you... I was going to ask this before we had this, but I don't know if it's a stream conversation. Are you happy with that new job? Do you think you're...
Yeah, I love it. I probably wouldn't want to...
We won't go into details. No, none of the
What I do, yeah. Okay, I'm a porn star. It's out there, okay? No, but yeah, we'll keep that on the down low.
So, look, getting back to it, ACCC, very good. I love Rob Sims, except... couple of weeks back, they put out an article, the ACCC, saying that 15 megabytes is good enough for the whole family. Like 50 megabytes down. Megabits down.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's a bit like, like a full family. Like, let's say you have a teenage kid, the amount of stuff they're going to stream.
Yeah. The amount of research they're going to do.
Yeah. For academic purposes.
Absolutely.
So I just don't agree. Do you think you could, you as a single
as a sole individual, yes. I think as me, like it works perfectly for me. But if I had like kids or if a wife and like 2 children, no way, man. That would not cut the
I think cake. For my wife and I, like she's watching stuff right now. And, we're able to upload and stream, but that's only because we got 100 down and 40 up. And right now, before I did this stream, I got 27 up. And we've also tuned up the performance of the stream to be higher bit rate. So we were a bit scared because it was orange the whole time when we started streaming. So look, that's the ACCC for you. But before, they have certainly gone after the NBN to try and make good for the customers and consumers. Friends, if you want to hear about it more, tomorrow morning, Dirt Report. Got a lot of stuff in there. So we're going to move on to the next topic. Actually, hang on. I had another page here from 9 News about the PlayStation thing. They sort of put it...
I think everyone kind of jumped on the bandwagon because they were like, oh, big story. We're suing like one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Like, gaming... console manufacturers. Yeah.
I like what Rod Sim said here. I added this to my video tomorrow, but what Sony told these consumers was false and does not reflect the consumer guarantees rights afforded to Australian consumers under the Australian consumer law. I think that's such a good sentence that he just not blatantly, but he just sort of says, yes, what Sony did is wrong because of we have Australian consumer rights. So I think it definitely sets a precedent. All right. Enough of that.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's go to... What you want? Maybe a vote? If anybody was here at the start. I don't think many people was here at the start.
People were like, what are our choices?
Which one do you want to talk about now?
Maybe we could go to the Intel stuff. I'd be keen to hear some chip developments. Chip.
So, Intel Tiger Lake benchmarks suggest good and bad news for AMD. So, okay, so this is the 11th generation of Intel.
Wow, they're flying through these, man. They're like iPhones, and you want every year.
The problem I see here is that, look, Intel, by any stretch of the imagination, is not... I don't think they're cowering.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Look, I think they have fine engineers. They have really made a name for themselves. They have worked very hard, and they have some of the brightest minds in the world working on these things. They're not fools by any stretch of the imagination, right?
That's right. No. And just to sort of get everybody up to speed, Tiger Lake, the series of 11th gen, I think we're talking about the APUs here, which is not the CPUs, but I have a page here about the 11th gen Rocket Lake. So these two are connected, so we might as well talk about those two. There's also an AMD topic I really want to talk about, and that's Big Navi, but we'll get to that in a second. Intel is not shaking in their boots. They're working away on their projects. They're certainly not going to lose out to AMD anytime soon. They will be definitely competing, and you, the consumer, will be the one deciding. I just hope that none of you people decide to go with AMD or Intel just because of how they, treat people. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like people, but I suppose what is it called?
Treat people. Yeah.
No, like the marketing. Oh, I like Intel because they. I don't know. What would you say? What am I trying to get at?
Yeah, if Hitler's promoting Intel, don't buy it.
No, I don't mean it like that. But basically, virtue signaling, right? You want to pick the best product for the consumer. Vote with your wallet rather than just because they're doing something fancy with the public. At the end of the day, they don't care. They just want to market to you. And I think I said that last time also.
Buy the better product.
Yeah,
that's
buy the
better.
Yes, that's right. So AMD, Intel's not shaking the boots. We're gonna get a new generation very quickly because they need to. I think they need to push that a little bit further because 10th generation was a bit of a refresh, and AMD loves to do refreshes of their graphics card lineup, and hopefully this time with Big Navi, we'll talk about it in a moment, they won't. But 10th generation has had one CPU that I believe was the highlight, and that's the i5. That was touted as the best gaming CPU.
Yeah, that got a lot of spotlight.
Yeah, and especially even in a budget build, it was highlighted as a really good option. And certainly, and this is funny, people keep sort of saying, and I've said it in the past, that's very true, that single core performance is still big for games. But remember, the game developers, they follow what the I guess consoles or PC or anybody else is doing, and they end up designing games to work best on that hardware. Now, if AMD is the most popular CPU out there for gamers, they're going to design their games to work on multiple cores, and single core performance will not be the deciding factor for game performance anymore. And Intel touting that we're still king because it's single core performance is a joke nowadays, because there's just not that many games that actually do one single core performance as like, there still is in the sense of, you need good core performance, but more and more development, especially with consoles now using all AMD chips for their graphic driver and CPU, graphic driver as in like the graphics card, then we won't, we're not going to see this battle change just because of the core speed. So next lineup of the 11th gen, it's not looking good, and this is what the bad news is about, is that it's still not going to be as many cores as AMD. That's the problem.
So is this to say then that the actual game developers are almost like the voters or the deciders in terms of who's going to be benefiting in this race war in gaming? Because if the developers are like, all right, we're optimizing this for multi-core threading, like this is what we're thinking of doing, and then AMD's actually working closer with game developers, they are going to benefit a lot more if Intel's just doing their own thing. So
as a game developer, I'm going to put that hat on. I want to make a game, and let's say I'm developing for consoles, right? I'm an indie studio. I want to make this game work on as many consoles as possible. So I'll develop for the Xbox. I will develop onto the PlayStation. Now, if I'm doing on PC...
So you're a third-party game developer.
Yeah, I'm a third-party, yes. Okay, we've learned that last week, folks.
Yeah.
And so if I want to develop for the PC, I have to look at the overall results. And usually, there's ways to do that. People have this information where they'll find out exactly which platform is the most popular And if they start seeing that, well, it's multi-core is more popular, they'll start developing a game that takes advantage of that to perform as best as it can, because that's the majority of people. If majority of people have more cores but lower clock speeds, they'll be like, well, we can make this work. We can send the processors into other logical process into other spots, and they can work on it and create, higher speed, higher fidelity, higher frame rates, and so on. So I'm babbling here, but you get the idea.
That's an interesting perspective. But then also on the flip side, you're also catering to the lowest common denominator, right? As a game developer, because let's say if there's all these consoles out there, you got to make sure that the weakest console can actually handle this game. Therefore, does that mean the actual game fidelity will be held back by that?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that used to be the case a lot, and a lot of PC gaming crowd, the PC master race, used to come out and say that consoles are holding gaming back.
Yeah,
that has certainly changed now. The consoles are pretty much ahead right now, certainly in power from what we've seen so far. I'm not saying that we know more than we know now, but so far they are much more powerful than any PC we have right now. Obviously, the 2080 Ti is certainly powerful, but the cost-wise. Yeah. So when you're developing for a machine like that, you're going to try and pull out the most power so your game looks the best, your game performs the best, and so on. Now, I've heard rumors that some games might not even hit 30 frames.
Well, there was the talk of the Valhalla game by Assassin's Creed Valhalla games by Ubisoft, and they were saying, it's going to be 4K 30, and people were like outraged. They're like, that can't be the rumor. Like, that's got to be fake news, man. Like,
but more than likely,
see 30 FPS next gen.
Yeah, more than likely, we're probably looking at something where the resolution changes dynamically for the frame rate to stay at 60. So during battles of madness, you'll probably see the resolution tank a little bit. Sorry, we got off topic.
Yeah, we're talking about chips, the latest 11th gen Intel.
But before that, I still want to touch upon one thing, and I had it in the back of my mind to mention. You mentioned the consoles designing for right. So AMD has sort of come from the bottom, right? They started creating very budget-oriented chips that performed really, really well for a good price. And one of the defining factors between them and Intel was a higher core count than a higher frequency. And so the budget sort of built up to the medium, and then sort of to the high end now with Threadripper and 3990 or 3950X and so on. And so all of them have double cores. Every one of them has more cores than Intel. And so as the majority starts purchasing the cheaper, more value-oriented product, we get to see that the majority of players do have multi-cores, and therefore game developers will go, well, if that's the majority, we should develop for that.
Yes, catering to the majority. It's like the majority is the truth.
Yeah.
It's like the answer. So then developers are like, well, okay, 80% of the people so it's like the peasants are running they're running the streets.
Let's not talk about running in the streets.
Power to the peasants.
Power to the peasants. But look, in any case, 11th gen isn't looking any particularly better than 10th. But that's not to say Intel is out of the race. They will still make very powerful CPUs, and they will still perform very well. I think they certainly need to reduce their pricing, and they have. Like last gen, 9th gen was so expensive compared to 10th gen that you can look at it now and go, wow, that's reasonably priced Intel CPUs. What's going on? They had to reduce their price because of AMD. And that's a win for the consumer. That's a win for you guys. That's not
one for us. One for the peasants.
So, look, I'm really keen to see AMD put some, I wouldn't say nails in the coffin, but put some screws to...
tighten those screws on the AMD's,
tighten to screws.
On Intel's coffin. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So thanks, Golden Hen. Yes. So with this page that I've shown here, the one that we sort of skipped on, this is for the mobile CPUs, and hopefully the iGPU or the APU is going to perform much better, because one thing that's lacking in, I suppose, very thin ultrabooks is good graphical performance, and that's a reality. You want an ultrabook, you're gonna have to pack it tightly. If you put a GPU in it, it's going to get too hot. You need cooling. Actually, I got sent a Zephyrus G14 recently. Well, recently, literally like a couple of days ago. You can just see it here. It's a 14-inch laptop, and it's as thin as 2 MacBook Pros. So it's really thin. Beautiful design. Magnesium. Like, this is not plastic. It's actually some sort of magnesium composite. And this has got a RTX 2060 in it with an AMD 4000 series. Actually, 9th gen, I think it is. Let me just check. Yeah, 4000 series, 9th gen. I don't know if you can see that. I'll just bring it up here. RTX. So this is, I'm going to get to review this. I'm really excited. And so far, it's been performing really, really well. And what I wanted to say is the amount of heat dissipation that you need on something like this is incredible. The amount of vents it has. And if you guys wanted to see that video, I posted it today on the Techman Pat channel. It really needs it. So any iGPU that can sit on the CPU and you only have to, cool the CPU will mean lighter and faster notebooks, and obviously more power efficient anyway. So that's that. Anything else to say? I think we're sort of... the security dog's on. Fella, come here.
She's picking up on those console peasants, man.
They're crowding around the house.
Yeah, they heard us.
So, so what... I guess we... Fella, jeez.
Wow.
I think the cats are out. I think the cats have jumped out.
Wow.
We have this cat that comes along the fence and sits on the fence and annoys the dogs. It's just insane.
Oh, no.
Those cats, man, they really want to do you in. So Rocket Lake, it's looking like it's going to have 8 cores, 16 threads, and some results came up, and nobody really cares because until we have it in our hands and we can review it. So.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Nobody
it's
cares.
Intel.
Yeah. No, I don't mean that nobody cares.
But we don't have the concrete facts here. We don't have information. We don't have much to go on with.
Nexus game. If you guys want to find out about specifics about CPUs, Nexus Gamers Nexus. Gamers Nexus.
Just Nexus, yeah.
Bloody magnificent. He's called. What's his name? Computer Jesus or
Computer Jesus.
PC Jesus or something.
Looks like it.
And anyway, they do very good in-depth reviews of CPUs. So I'll leave it to them. We'll hear from them. We're just going to talk about the the general gaming news rather than get too stuck into we don't know enough to really.
They do a great job on breaking down CPUs and giving us CPU recommendations. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we sort of what I do, and I suppose this is more of my approach to making videos about CPUs and builds is I go around researching everything because I understand the terms, I understand what's required and what I want to achieve, and I can put together a package for someone. Say, like a couple of videos ago I did like, best CPU for this, best build for this, just for the sake of putting something together, so you don't have to do the research and sort of because there's a lot of marketing terms, there's a lot of marketing crap that comes along and people like, and it does this. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't really affect anyone unless it's this very specific use case. So, hopefully that's what the usefulness of my videos is, that, to get rid of that marketing stuff.
Trying to cut through those slick marketing terms, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's talk Big Navi.
Lisa Su.
The
front woman of AMD.
She is the highest paid female CEO.
Really?
She made $56 million.
Woo! Damn,
but it's performance-based bonuses.
And that makes a lot of sense. Actually, she was thinking of leaving, and then they gave her like a massive bonus and obviously more incentives to keep her on. And she's like, all right, I'll keep the AMD train going.
Yeah, I actually think... that might be right, but I actually think they gave her more control.
Oh, right.
Because I think she's look at everything so far. Yeah. She has taken AMD from a joke to an actual contender. To Jesus.
Yeah.
Risen from the ashes 3 days later.
Back from the grave.
3 decades later. Yeah. And, the thing is, Big Navi is... Sorry. In regards to her being a CEO, she certainly has done that, and I think her remuneration package is well earned.
Yep.
And she's certainly shown how she can take a company that has a history of doing things and then like not doing things very well to a company that's leading in the forefront. So back to this one. So we know that AMD is providing hardware for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
Oh yeah.
What is AMD providing for the PlayStation 5? You'd probably know that. To be exact.
So RDNA 2.0 will be provided in both Xbox Series X and the PS5. The Ryzen 2 chips will be provided in both. I think it's like 3.4 gigahertz in PlayStation 5 and like a 3.6 or something like that, or maybe 3.8 in the Xbox Series X, which is a big surprise because of how high these frequencies are clocked in comparison to previous chips. You know, they were like 2 point something gigahertz in the previous gen.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think it's like 2.1 actually. So it's a huge step up, not only in terms of the architecture, but in terms of the frequency, which therefore then means that they're going to have to get a lot more savvy with their cooling. And funnily enough, going from CPU bottlenecks, I believe they'll be swinging towards kind of GPU bottlenecks now, unfortunately. Yeah, that's just, they've really swung so much one way that they're like, oh, well, okay, I guess the GPU is going to not be as it's going to be great. It's going to be powerful, but in comparison to the CPU, may not be as optimal.
So, look, it doesn't, money-wise, AMD is certainly making a bang for their buck from supplying consoles. It's big probably bangs. A very, very small margin, let's be realistic, because if it was a larger margin, NVIDIA would be on top of that, and NVIDIA is only dealing with, the Switch?
That's right, the Switch,
The Switch, so, there's probably a higher margin there, because I certainly don't think that device costs, 450 Australian dollars to manufacture, because you can get a massive PlayStation, 4 Pro for a similar price.
Yeah, and then the Switch is like so much less powerful than any of those consoles.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some big margins for
NVIDIA. And they have to. Hence look at their stock price.
Yeah, exactly. So Big Navi is an RDNA 2. I think the fact that it's coming out before the PlayStation, it makes no difference to anyone really, but I'm really excited to see AMD back in the game for graphics cards because there's been very little choice in that segment. I recently reviewed the 5600 XT. Really good, really great, priced really accordingly. But if I want to get something better from the AMD camp, there is nothing else. Oh yeah, Golden Hen. Golden Hen. Yes, we're going to be talking about Bloodborne.
Yes, we are. Yeah,
and it's going to bring, NVIDIA, like Intel before, had no competition, and they will have to reduce prices. I don't think it's an issue with performance or them not, innovating and making faster cards. They have to make faster cards every year, but it's the price point at which they sell those cards to the consumers that is what the competition creates. Like if there's competition, these cards are going to be cheaper. They're going to be basically more competitively priced, and that's a win for us. So I'm really keen for Big Navi to open up in that segment because there's no who else makes graphics card? Well, Intel tried to make a card, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they made some cards, but they were super underpowered.
They were low end,
they were very, very low end. Yeah. There's another company, I think it's a Chinese company, so there's like basically 4 players on the market at the moment, but I can't for the life of me remember who that is.
I do remember seeing that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually giving the opportunity for more developers now, I think, with this day and age. I don't know if the current pandemic has pushed things back, but it has opened up doors for more manufacturers that are making low-end graphics card because I think the technology is affordable, so they can mass produce these things.
Yeah. So this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this year is AMD's year.
Oh, yeah.
They are releasing a refreshed Zen 2 line. They're releasing a Big Navi by the end of the year, and they're releasing Zen 3. And they're not giving big pauses in between those releases. Like, Intel used to do. Like, think about it this way. When Intel released 7th gen, or 6th gen, when you bought yours, 7th gen took a while. 8th gen took a while too. 10th and 11th, so close, because AMD is just going, we're going to get better and better. They have low. They don't manufacture as much stuff because they go, well, it's going to be changed the next year, so they don't manufacture enough to then have another item to. They don't have big stocks waiting to to have to sell. So this year is certainly AMD's year, and like I said, I'm going to wait till Zen 3 and I'll build that CPU, and then hell, if when Cyberpunk comes out in September, which we're not far off from that, which is really exciting.
Ooh, 3 months to go.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you guys are keen for Cyberpunk. I'm sure you are.
I'm so keen.
I'm actually going to try and build it around the same time when Cyberpunk is out, so I get to experience that in all its beautiful glory. But
you should make it like themed. Make it like very Cyberpunk
like
themed.
Full on yellow.
PC,
Yeah. So that would be good. Actually, I was thinking about. So I was thinking of doing a video. Somebody in the comments in another video said I should do this, and it is to rebuild my water-cooled computer and do a video about cleaning it, putting it back together, and so on. And I was considering spray painting it, like respraying the case, because I've got a P5 case.
Cool. Yeah.
Pat does a fantastic Elvis impersonation. Thank you very much.
Where did that come from?
Just the comments.
Why?
Maybe it's the hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. little less conversation, a little more action. That's I like that song, but that's a remix, I think.
Yeah, remix of Elvis's song.
So I was gonna do a respray, and I was gonna do red, but maybe I should do like dirty yellow.
Yes.
For a Cyberpunk.
Dirty yellow, like some greys and
Ooh. I'll have a think about
neon colors, like neon greens.
All right, let us know in the comments if that's something you guys want to see. I just saw 3 people leave, like just as soon as I did the
Elvis impression. They're like, Elvis has left the building.
I get it, guys. No more Elvis.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's holding up for Zen 3? Let us know in the comments.
Not me, I just got Zen 2.
Zen 2, yeah. Oh, you're 39X? You're on the X, right?
Yeah, 3600X.
Did you overclock?
No. Okay. No, I'm afraid of the thing just not working. I just want it to work. Just do that, please.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So, look, release date-wise, I had a link here about Big Navi. We're looking at, late 2020. So, watch out for that. We'll hopefully... What are they saying here? That it's going to dethrone the 2080 Ti?
Oh, that was talk about it 9 months ago. Yeah, 9 months ago they talked about this because they were like, Lisa Su actually talked about how, yes, the Big Navi is coming, after they had their 5700 XT drop, and that it is going to be the RTX 2080 Ti killer by about 20 to 30%.
For how long? A week?
Very small window, yes, if at all. So I think they're right. I mean, they want to take the crown. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it now, because with the RTX 3080, if that's what they're going to call it, around the horizon, Nvidia is trying to be a bit more savvy and trying to get ahead of the game. They want to keep the crown, but AMD I think is going to keep the pricing. And they're going to put that. They're going to put that pressure on, and they're just going to keep tightening it on because Nvidia can't afford to keep being as competitive. Like they just can't do it because they got to keep their investors happy. They're going to lose a massive market share, like massive.
Yes, yeah. There'll still be that high end sort of. I spent $2,500 on my graphics card. I get 10 frames more. But if AMD can put out a card that performs as good as the 2080 Ti for now, and that card itself is obviously maybe cheaper, then Nvidia's like, oh crap. And then when they release the 3080 or 3080 Ti, they will have to price it in a way that not only dethrones their own 2080 Ti, but also puts they have the budget. They'll drop like 10% from their from their sort of revenue or their markup, and they'll be cheaper than they'll be priced at AMD's. They'll do this. They can do this. I wouldn't be surprised because Nvidia's partnered with Tesla, I believe, to build smart cars, right? So they have a lot of fingers in a lot of pies, and their money comes from their cards performing. So they will always innovate because the highest end or the enterprise level pays for us plebs here to play games.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize this, but the 2080 Ti was built to be in a server to render crap, to like do actual computing work. GPUs are better at computing than CPUs, and so they have, you know, I mean, this is one example of, you know, GPU render farms or GPU, you know, things to do like folding or whatever it might be.
Yeah, just mass workloads of number crunching.
That's right. A lot of companies require that. You know, there's like, what was it? The last Batman movie, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises?
Oh, the third one.
Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
I read a little factoid about how it took like 100 computers to like render a couple of scenes.
And that was a decade ago.
Yeah, that was a decade ago. So, you know, with the new movies coming out, the amount of requirement of better looking graphics and effects, there's a lot of requirements at the enterprise level for GPUs. And that's what NVIDIA does. They build great ones. I mean, AMD is not in the enterprise level. They're not, well, sorry, they are, but they're not really. Like, I can't honestly remember the last time an enterprise server had AMD in it. I think it's just been Xeons for a long time, and I think it still is. You know, if you're just a tip, guys, if you're ever looking for a great gaming computer, you can always look out for a couple of old Xeon CPUs with their motherboards. Usually they're in like a Dell case, like one of those tower cases. They look a bit weird, but you chuck a GPU in it, it'll be fine. And those Xeons are quite powerful. Like, you can even get them off eBay pretty cheap. Xeons are very powerful things. And none of these things that we see here, nobody seems to mention Xeons. Nobody from AMD, nobody from Intel. Xeon's in its own little world over there, enterprise. Same as NVIDIA with their cards. So when NVIDIA builds, you know, the P1000 or whatever, or P2000, whatever it was, and gives it to Tesla, then we trickle down to us and we get a 2080 from it.
Yeah, we get like the super cut down version.
And Enterprise pays for it. They pay thousands and thousands of dollars upon thousands of dollars for each card and each sort of, I guess, item. And then they have, obviously, they don't make the money from us. That's more of a cherry on top. And their development is years ahead from compared to what we get. So they already know where they're going with their infrastructure, with their GPUs, with their chips, the sizes, everything. They're probably already working on the 4000 series. Like, let's be very clear about that. They're certainly not stagnant, and NVIDIA is in a really good place to keep developing. Now, one thing I heard, sorry, I'm talking a lot here, but one thing I heard was a refresh of the Switch. And that's probably going to be a big thing too for NVIDIA.
Yeah, I've heard rumors about that as well. First of all, the rumors were, there's going to be like a pro version. But I think this is going to be like a next-gen push, right, to it. Because Nintendo came forward and they said, oh, no, we're not even planning to do like a pro version of this. So they're doing a new iteration of it, most likely. And
a lot of that comes down to piracy. The first generation of Switch consoles were so easy to pirate and they couldn't do anything because it was a fault with NVIDIA's chip. So you could basically almost like short a couple of pins on the controller and run unsigned code, which is basically just, running, unlocking it basically. And it is tethered, so you need to PC or you need a little USB thing to unlock it, sure. But it was cracked, and that was a fault of NVIDIA's chip. So they weren't going to refresh it, because refresh usually means a slightly upgraded board with some tweaks and stuff, and it's a bit faster. Like, they wouldn't redesign a whole board where they would, well, they did a little bit of refresh anyway. They put a bigger battery and they patched that issue with that card and being able to unlock it. But I expect a Switch too, but I expect it to be finally 1080p HD, bigger screen.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 1080p. It's gotta keep up with this next gen console, so it has to have a big jump.
But Nintendo never cares. They never care to release at the same time. They never care to release.
I know.
They don't care about performance.
They're so renegade.
They don't care, and I love that about them. But I also don't love the way they take down like videos of people playing Nintendo games on YouTube. Like, Why?
They're like the rebel console manufacturers, but in doing so, like with being a little bit innovative and outside the window, they managed to surpass the sales of the Xbox consoles, which is a big surprise because Xbox has been around for 7 years now in terms of this gen. And Nintendo has been around for how long? The Switch, like maybe I don't want to.
2017, I think.
3 years.
3 years,
so less than half the time, and they've exceeded the sales numbers already.
And it's interesting because the Switch was a reiteration of the Wii Plus, whatever the version of the Wii was.
Not like a Wii U, no.
Oh, Wii U, yeah, Wii U, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wii U. What the ambulance makes, the noise that ambulance makes.
That's right.
Wii U. So you guys remember that it was like a handheld thing with a screen on it, but then you still had a console-like box connected to your TV. So now they've sort of done away with that and put everything in one. So that a revision of that Wii U was what the Switches are, in my sort of view. They did release the portable one. Switch Portable or whatever, Switch Lite.
That's right, and this is what I find fascinating, is because Vita has been, Sony PlayStation Vita has been around for a while, right? And unfortunately, it's no longer being manufactured because it wasn't a critical commercial success. And you look at Switch, which hasn't redefined anything in particular, but it was their angle of advertising it. Their sales marketing pitch is what made it successful, because it was very family-friendly focused.
Yeah.
And you see those ads, those warm,
Japanese,
loving ads where you see like a family sitting on a plane and the kids are taking turns and they're sharing the controllers and they're using the screen and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, wow, this is great. This will keep the kids occupied, This is, it's their pitch. It's their voice that actually made the success.
I loved the original PSP. I never had a Vita, but I've heard good things. Actually, let us know in the comments below if anybody has the Vita. Because I certainly think it failed because we didn't we, as in Sony, didn't put actual effort into it. I think it was such a side project to them, the whole PSP lineup, that, Nintendo puts it as that's their first priority, is the Switch console. That's why it succeeded. The Vita was, they put proprietary discs. They put proprietary memory cards. They tried to lock that down away from people so they wouldn't. I don't know you wouldn't pirate it. It's like, no, these people still pirated, but it was just so hard to get into. There was a limited amount of games. There was a limited amount of accessories, but the device was very powerful. Even the first PSP.
Yeah, it's quite powerful.
Was very powerful. So, was able to play PS1 games.
Yeah, so a lot more powerful than the Switch. Yeah. And still the Switch is a bigger success.
Oh, yeah. Maybe back then, if you were to compare it, maybe it would have been. That's good. Let's move on from that. I think we really derailed that conversation.
Yeah, RDNA 2 is where it started. Whoa.
All right, do you want to tell us about Bloodborne?
Oh, yes. Okay, so some rumors, I think we're quite let down by the fact that we didn't get that PlayStation reveal, the PlayStation 5 reveal about all the games. It was supposed to be a 1-hour event. Very sad, but unfortunately with what's happening in the world, I think we all probably think that Sony made the right decision, even though we're let down. There are some potential leaks or rumors that have come out from that, which is to say that Bloodborne is supposed to be coming to PC and a remaster version is coming to PlayStation 5 with 4K pixels and 60 FPS, which would be fantastic. And for those that don't own a PlayStation console, only on PC, I would love for you to try this game. It is fantastic. A lot of people say it is the best product from Software, the company that has made these Soulsborne, Bloodborne games for quite some time now. And what's made this game so memorable is because of how unforgiving it is, how complex and dark and grim, and your adrenaline is just rushing in this game. Like, it's just, I haven't played a game like this in quite some time, where I was sitting at the edge of my seat for most of the experience, and I was fearing for my safety throughout most of the experience. And my palms are sweaty.
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Yeah, there was spaghetti on my sweater already. It was very memorable from the start to the end.
Yeah.
And this is why probably this is making headlines, and this is why it's like a classic PlayStation hit, this game. A lot of people have been hoping for a sequel to this game. And you know what? I'll be honest. If this re-releases as a remaster on the PlayStation 5, I will be buying this and I will be playing this again.
Really?
I want to see this in 60 FPS. A lot of people did, to the point where on Digital Foundry, there was an interview of a guy, and I think he's actually from Australia.
Oh.
I think the developer is from Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys have seen this, but there was a guy that actually created a 60 FPS version of this, I think in 720p. Because there's such a big following for this and such a big demand that a guy actually hacked the code and managed to make it. And
Are you serious?
Yeah, there was an interview about it, and they were like, "Oh my god, you actually did it! You managed to create it." And he was like, "Yeah, there was just."
It was a bit suspect about the whole thing.
Super suspect. Yeah, he was wearing a balaclava at the interview.
It was a balaclava, dark light, and it's like,
yes,
this is what like
a fake voice, augmented voice. Yes, the Sony snipers were probably after him. But I would rebuy this game if I could play it in a better fidelity and better FPS. It's a great game, man.
Coming out on PC, would you play it with a keyboard or controller?
I want to say controller, because you'd just be fumbling around with all the buttons and stuff like it. I think controller because of the I want to say the compact format of it all, and this game is about quick reflexes and reactions. That will make the difference between you actually losing or actually just being able to survive. Like just that. What's that called? The hand-eye coordination. Yeah, that's right. The hand-eye coordination is key in this game. This is like FPS on steroids, but like third person.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Hammy, you're 3 years off greatness, my man. So
66 years old. Well done. Congratulations for being
That's an
alive,
achievement.
Man.
Yeah.
That is an achievement. That's like a very good platinum trophy, right?
It certainly is. Yeah. It should be like a score. People should wear it around.
Yeah.
You get those shirts like whatever number of your favorite athlete.
Yeah.
You should get like an age one. It's like 66.
Yeah. It's a nice number as well. 66, double 6.
3 years off greatness.
Or like 77 would be even more awesome.
Okay,
that would be double good luck. So
good, yeah. What's the Chinese number for good luck? 8?
Is it? I know
7.
I know 4 is a bad number.
4 or 3 is a bad number.
4, like they don't have the 4th floor.
Yeah. So what's lucky then? 8, 7.
Does somebody in chat know?
Does somebody know what the Chinese lucky number is?
I want to say it's...
Oh, speaking of the Chinese...
Yes?
I was just waiting for the knock on the door from the Chinese government. Valorant came out.
Oh, yes.
The CSGO clone. Sorry. It's as if...
like a Overwatch clone?
Yeah, it's as if Overwatch,
Heroes
CSGO...
Yes, right?
And Heroes of the Storm had a baby.
Whoa, that's messed up baby.
Freaky messed up baby. So Valorant came out. It was originally praised as really good.
Yeah.
And then apparently the Metacritic has just tanked when it actually went live.
What? Why?
And people are suggesting that it's because...
loving it.
Yeah, well, they were suggesting that it's because of people who were reviewing were actually getting paid. So I'm just going to look Valorant on Metacritic. So we can see the current score.
Let's have a look at the reviews. How they're being slammed.
There we go. 5.6.
User score 5.6.
So user score 5.6. When I saw this, it was at 3.6, so it's gone up a bit.
Okay.
And critics are saying, 83?
Wow.
That's a very stark difference.
That's huge. I mean, look at IGN. They gave it a 90. PC Gamer gave it a 90. And what is it? Chat gave it a 2 out of 10.
I love IGN, right? Like, it's like terrible game, doesn't work. 10 out of 10 IGN.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, flawless.
So let's have a look at what, like, let's say IGN gave it 90. They say Valorant is the most fun I've had with a multiplayer FPS since Valve's Team Fortress 2. The flexibility of this magically infused cast, paired with a deep arsenal, makes for magnificent competitive canvas. If a tricky one to initially pick up. I'm already pondering new strategies to pull off with my friends in the future, and that joust daydreaming won't stop anytime soon. It may not be prettiest modern FPS around, but its visually simplicity enables excellent clarity in every fight. With its teeth sunk in this deep, Valorant makes me want to keep playing until there's nothing left to master.
All right, so Valorant obviously paid AGN a lot of money.
It feels like it, doesn't it? Like that's a glowing review. And then, I mean, okay, by the way, sorry, this is going to be again off topic. Somebody said Doom, so Golden Hen, thank you for that.
What about
Doom? Doom Eternal, absolute rubbish in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Is it?
It says 88 here.
Oh man, I don't know, hey.
But to me, I hated it. I played like half an hour. I was like, what is this trash? But just to note, I was just in the middle.
What is this trash?
Just a note, I was playing Doom 2016.
Yes.
I just went, finish that, and I went straight on to this one. And it was terrible. It was like, I was like, what is this?
I know why.
It feels like a backward step. Why?
I know why you hate it. Because there's an inconsistency in the theme. Like, the theme has altered so much that it no longer feels like Doom. You know, it was like this deep, dark, grim, outer space, sci-fi in a metallic spaceships and all of that. And now they've added this new palette of colors, and it's a bit more crazy and out there, like a painkiller, like a Serious Sam game.
Yes.
As opposed to this scary, deep space game. Now, and I think the theme wrecked it for you. You've just been taken out of this immersion.
You're spot on. I love the spaceship, the Mars, the corridors, the darkness. Since the original Doom 3. You're right.
Yeah. And you know why? Because when I was just even I haven't played this game, but watching the review, I'm like, whoa, it's so colorful. Like, I had that feeling of, oh, it's lost its Doom charm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Finally, somebody put it into words. Why Doom Eternal is not... sorry, let's just rephrase. It's a great game, mechanics, but it's not a Doom game.
Mechanically, it's perfect.
It's
right?
polished. Yeah,
it's polished. Yeah, but it's
the
just
story, the essence of it is not Doom anymore, and I just don't know why people are so like, who paid these yokels? So, why I read the AGN one, I wanted to read the one of the red ones here. Let's just grab here one. It's a soulless game filled with hackers, even though you have to install spyware to play it. This is quite important to note. So I wanted to install it today and have a bit of a play. And just as I was about to press install, I remembered that the company that owns Riot is Tencent, which is the Chinese conglomerate of billion-dollar companies, whatever. Without putting on my tinfoil hat, whatever, right? They're a games company. They just want to earn billions and upon billions. But they install a rootkit-like anti-cheat application, I think it's called Vanguard, onto your computer. And the problem with it is, getting into too much detail, but there's 3 levels of your computer, right? Like, you've got root, which is literally everything. Like, that's like kernel level stuff that if you change something, you could kill everything. Then you've got, something above it is like security, and then you've got user level. This anti-cheat thing goes all the way to that last level in your computer. That root level, and that's why it's called a rootkit. Well, it's not really called, but that's what people are calling it.
Yeah.
And while it might be innocuous and not doing anything, it has deep level access to computer and can steal everything from your password, your keys, change things on your computer, got access to everything. Do you trust Riot Tencent to not suddenly... There's 3 million people playing this game. They have access to 3 million people's computers directly to it. You wouldn't even notice when they open up your webcam and watch it. You wouldn't even know.
This makes sense why there's like a 0 review from like some Russian hacker. Like, you can tell here, he's probably had a look at it and he's like, oh my god, my KGB stuff is getting stolen. Yeah.
Oh no, the Chinese now know about
Yeah.
our epic rockets that can like.
Yeah, and our supreme vodka, like it's
Yeah. Oh, Hammy, yeah, Unreal Tournament, like that's and Quake 3. Do you remember Quake 3 Arena?
Oh, love Quake 3 Arena.
Oh, so good. There's
So good.
Quake came out with a Quake Champions. Have you tried that?
No.
It's trash.
Oh, is it?
It's
Oh,
so trash.
Quake, you
It's
lost
so
your
bad.
charm.
Yeah. So I'll just read one more. This one's a 4. This game is pretty good, but every time I play the game, it feels like it's missing something big. Feels empty. If I didn't play the game, I would just say that this is just a CS:GO clone. But this is definitely more, just not enough. They could have done so much more. It's very early from release, so it's understandable. That's actually something I heard a lot, was that it's the only reason everybody's playing it is because it's by Riot. If it wasn't by Riot, nobody would be playing it.
Right,
So-
yeah. I mean, it's a big powerhouse, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to install it on the laptop over there and play it on that, and then
Yeah.
send that back to ASUS. So then China has access to ASUS.
Just make sure you don't have any super secret files on your laptop.
That's right. So finally, let's move on to our last story, and that's
Ooh.
some PlayStation 5 news.
Top secret tech. I mean, I heard this briefly. This is about their cooling system,
Wait,
right?
sorry, is this the render? No, that can't be it.
No, we don't
Oh.
know what it looks like, man.
Oh,
that
they-
just looks like a VCR.
Yeah.
But then again, there are rumors. Somebody supposedly
Yeah,
saw it. I don't
yeah.
know. It's probably lies, but there are rumors that what the PlayStation 5 looks like is pretty much like the. Whoa, that looks pretty cool. That top
I
on
just renders.
like this. Like people are saying, it looks like that, like a PlayStation 4 Pro,
Yeah.
but fatter. Like it's supposed to
it's
be even higher. And
definitely fat,
The
yeah.
PlayStation 4 is already like the Pro is quite fat.
Is that the third layer? Like if you had a PlayStation,
Yeah,
it's got like a third.
Yeah, it's like a club sandwich. So then like another one on top would
Yeah.
be massive. And I think that probably makes sense. I mean, they can't go. They got to go very different from what Xbox Series X went to really differentiate themselves, and they went for like a fridge look. So these guys are probably gonna go into like a cake box look.
Cake box.
I think. Right?
Well, this is the one here, the one I've selected.
Yeah,
Apparently, this
which
is the
looks
one
like
that
a porta potty.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not notice that. That's very true. This is the one that the cleaner saw. Apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we know it's real. Like there's been so many pictures of this. We know that this is a dev kit.
So, look at the amount of cooling it has. So I'm pointing at the screen. I should use my mouse.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of cooling out here and a lot of intakes out here. So obviously, coming back to this, it's going to have to be very, very good at cooling.
Yeah, definitely. Because the current PS4 sounds like a jet engine. Like it's going to fly to Mars. Like people have been already talking about the Last of Us 2 releasing in a couple of weeks, guys. Get ready. Big gaming time for that one.
Do you want to do a stream together when you first play it?
Yeah, let's do
From
it.
from
I'm
your
keen.
yeah,
I'm
I'll
keen.
I'll share it to you guys here if you want to watch it. I'm keen
Yeah.
to see what happens.
19th of June. So like what are we on now? We're
Let me
the
have a look at
6th.
the dates.
So not next Friday, but the Friday
Oh,
after.
Friday! Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
Why don't I cruise over to yours on Friday, and then maybe
We'll do a stream.
I was gonna do. I wonder if we do a Saturday stream next week early. Did you have that event on?
Oh, actually, that event on is early, so now we can have the original time.
Sorry, let's
Yeah.
refresh. So next Saturday, on the 20th.
Oh wait, next Saturday the 13th.
Yeah.
That's when the event is on.
Okay,
But
and what
yeah.
time is that?
That's at 1:00.
Oh, so we can still do
So
our
we
stream.
can do our
Okay, I'll
our
come to your
original
place.
time.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
cool,
Sweet
cool,
as,
cool.
sweet as.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're just randomly making plans on camera.
We're organizing things.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to go back to here though is which one do you like?
Which one do I like?
Because you said this is the most likely one here, right? This is the most likely.
That actually looks cool. I don't mind it. It's like two triangles kind of like on top of each other, like stuck together.
Yeah.
And it does look like it has some sufficient cooling. Like it's got a lot of open air, like around, like just like the side, and I reckon around the whole back is probably quite open. And
It looks.
Yeah.
It actually looks fitting. Like
Yeah.
if I was releasing a console that needed to be sort of
Like this one
Laid
here,
back.
this one here looks like a oh, people can't see
Scanner.
it. Hold on. Yeah, this one here looks like
Click on it.
a scale that you would weigh yourself on. A
Yourself
weigh scale.
or drugs?
A bit of both. Yeah, yourself with drugs.
This one here looks like a laptop.
Yeah,
that you just
this one
open
looks
up
like
and you.
I
you
actually
just
like
play.
the look of this one too. Oh, whoops. Yeah, this looks
Oh,
cool,
that is
man.
cool. Yeah, I like that.
That I wouldn't mind that design.
So the thing with cooling is there's a lot of obviously aspects to it. You want to move air from the outside, which is usually about 20 degrees depending on where you live in.
That looks like an X.
Actually, that looks great. So it's an Xbox X. It's a PlayStation X.
PlayStation X. Yeah, PlayStation 10.
And you want to move the I suppose the air out efficiently.
Yeah.
With the least amount of noise and the least amount of... Sorry, John was like, I'm so old, streaming was done in front of a urinal. And then he says, hands off streaming.
Hands off streaming, yeah.
It's gold. So I think they'll have to have fans that are extremely efficient and with lots of blades. And probably some sort of way that it flows through the device rather than just pushing it out. I think it has to have a bit of a flow.
Oh, I realized I just got derailed on the previous conversation. What I was going with the Last of Us 2 thing was your thing about like how that game is actually the most demanding game on the console. So all of the PlayStations are going to sound like they're going to blow up. Like the fans are going to be like wah, like just playing the game. It's going to be really loud.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So should I bring a microphone so we can actually
test the noise of
test
the PlayStation?
The noise.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it will be very loud. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, I'm excited to see that then. And I guess the other thing is it actually going to look any better though? Is it because you said it's demanding, but does that mean that it's going to be like the best looking game on?
That's what they say. I mean, Digital Foundry did a breakdown of it, and they looked at the water, like Ellie, the character in the game, jumping into the water, and how the water just like perfectly ripples out, and the environments are so diverse. You walk into a house that's, you can tell that it's really aged, and the boards are creaky, and there's breakable walls, and there's a lot of like dust flowing through the atmosphere. Like it's very atmospheric. And it's set up in this dystopian future where you can tell that nature has really taken over. So all of the grass is quite high.
Yeah.
You can hear rustling through the grass, and you can see all the blades of grass like moving, especially because you can what's that when you're walking through like a soldier on the grass on the floor, like when you're like dragging yourself? I can't remember what that is called. But like you know what I mean.
We know.
Yeah. So just there's so much amount of detail. Like it's gonna be 30 FPS, and I think 1080p probably.
Sorry, I had to reply to Shane.
Yeah. So yes, it is going to be the most impressive current gen title. Just as The Last of Us original was when it came out, also at the very end of the gen.
Because Last of Us was on PlayStation 3 end of gen.
Came out just before the PlayStation 4 dropped, and this is coming out just before the PlayStation 5 drops.
Right, okay.
So it's like history is repeating itself, basically.
Yeah. And are they they're a first developer, right?
First party, yes.
Yes, first party. Okay.
Yeah. They're finest developers, in fact.
I need to play it, and I mean, it's a great, we played it together. I thought it was a fantastic game. Hammy, I also have a PlayStation 3, and the only reason I have it is because of Skate 3. Skate 3 on the PlayStation 3 is fantastic. I love that game, and it's just such a blast to play. Okay, well, look, I think that is it for today. Oh, what do you think of the controller? Sorry, I was going to finish the stream, but friends, hang on. What do you think of the controller? DualSense controller.
What do I think?
Yeah.
As well? I reckon they're going for that Xbox look, like just having more meat on it, just... more for the westernized hands, the our big claws,
The big chungas.
the big chungus, yeah, the big abungas. Yeah, I think it's just it looks like it's going to harness just house like a larger lithium battery, which means hopefully more longevity out of those controllers.
More time to play.
Yeah, I think I saw just a question further up from Sam Dooley. He was talking about some issues with fans just a little bit further up. He said, wasn't there an issue with certain PS4 unit fans? Yeah, you're probably right. I think also in the fact that we needed to clean these fans out, and there's all these videos that you can find on YouTube on tutorials how to rip open the case and clean them out, because the issue was obviously they were just getting covered in dust, and the PlayStations were overheating. So that's a problem that it looks like they're going to address.
Yeah, right.
That's the case.
Hey Val, sorry, my dog needs to say hello.
Oh, hello, dog.
Hello? Come here, Val. Oh, big dog.
Say hi to the internet.
Big dog, say hello. Hello. Her head is just nearly as big as mine.
Yeah, special
Good
guest.
dog. Say hello to Casper.
Hey Val.
What do you want? Good dog. What do you want?
Smelly dog breath.
Smelly dog. Yeah, she just had dinner. So I think I mentioned this last time, but she likes to sleep under my table because of the weather that we had in WA. But now she's like, oh, where's my bed gone? I removed it because it's not bad weather anymore. I was gonna say I like the controller. Yes, German Shepherds has been in our family for a long time. My wife's had 2 white German Shepherds, and so it's gonna let's turn the stream into a dog chat now.
Yeah.
I really like the controller because
things.
I find the PlayStation 3 controller, it's the most one I used, and the PlayStation 4 now, it's very small, and I find myself finding it a little bit too. It almost hurts my hands. Like if you play too long, I find it hurts a lot. And so I really like the Xbox controller.
Okay.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I think this is probably closer. It looks more ergonomic. And you know what? You can't really redesign a controller for a console, because at the end of the day, that's a big part of what makes your system unique.
That's right.
And the way you play games on it. So, I would prefer the thumb button to be at the top, with the buttons on the right, but that's because I'm right-handed, and then people who are left-handed, they might want it differently. So I actually think that Sony has done a really good job with making this quite ambidextrous in the regards to, well, it's quite equal on both sides. You have a set of buttons, so you can just get used to it. But Xbox has, one up. It's not, what is it called? When it's like equal on both sides?
Oh, it's like symmetrical.
Symmetrical, yeah.
Yes.
So, it's obviously more ergonomic, but, for her, So, anyway.
Actually,
thanks, Hammy. Catch you later, bro. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
We'll be finishing up anyway, so...
Just reminded me, just one last bit that I wanted to mention about the Last of Us 2 is how they are being accommodating to gamers of various I want to say disabilities, because they're adding specific filters to The Last of Us 2 for people that have issues with color, with being able to read colors.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So these specific specific filters, so you can actually differentiate characters from the background and all of that. So they've gone all out, and as well as that, because the original game of The Last of Us, the first one, the set normal difficulty was quite hard, was difficult.
Oh, right.
So I think they're giving a far larger range of difficulties as well for the players to experience.
We could keep talking for hours,
forever,
I want to add that the Xbox has given some I guess you would call it assistive controllers. So they have this little box that you buy for your Xbox, and you plug it into the Xbox, and it has little actually I think they're 3.5 millimeter jack plugs, and they plug into buttons or joysticks or any type of controller, and the little box reads that input. So if let's say you're a paraplegic and you can only move with your head, you can actually set up these buttons and things to be able to touch, control, and things. I've seen, and that's actually
fantastic.
It's enabled by this Xbox box, this controller, and you plug it in, and some people might have limited movement in their thumbs. So they might have big joysticks with the buttons on the sides that they can hit with their elbows. I saw a video of a lady with some sort of damaged arm after a car crash, I believe, and she was able to play with the control on the left side, but the rest of the buttons were, she could just hit them with her arm because she couldn't quite use her hand. She was an avid gamer, and I think it's really great that these consoles have become so much more accessible, because with the PC you were always able to do that. Like with a PC, you're always able to connect something that would be a controller set, and it was quite easy to develop for. And consoles were always locked down. You know, you had the quadriplegic. What did I say?
Quadriplegic.
Sorry,
so
quadriplegic. Thanks. Thanks, Laughing Logic.
Thanks, guys.
So I think and you know, even for, what did I see? Logitech came out with a wheel that has some software settings for somebody who has only one arm. And so it does, it sort of knows when you sort of lift your hand, and it keeps in the position of the wheel when you're racing. You can change your gear and come back to the actual wheel.
Oh, that's fantastic! Wow.
Yeah, it's
I
certainly
love how they accommodate nowadays. Like they have the opportunity, the space and time, and yes, because there's probably a lot more disadvantaged individuals in the world today. And I really love that they're taking the time, and they have, you know, the money to be able to do this, to accommodate, and to get more people experiencing, you know, these wonderful creations by people. Like, because I mean, games are like a work of art, interactive work of art.
And everybody should be able to enjoy them. The reason I'm sort of aware of this is because my wife works in healthcare and taking care of heavily disabled people. So she obviously knows a lot of stories and how certain people have to manage in their lives, and you know what kind of help they get. And the Australian government certainly has a lot of help. Sure, I don't want to get too political here, but the NDIS helps the customer a lot, or the customers and the person, the family. But you know, these sort of things. There's young people with disabilities, and why shouldn't they be allowed to play video games, consoles? You know, computer, whatever it might be. Like, there's no reason they should all certainly be accessible. That's not to say you pay for it. This is not cheap. One of those box controllers from Microsoft or Xbox is like $300-$400.
Yeah, because it's not mass manufactured, so it is very expensive, unfortunately.
And that's the thing. People were saying how you know, if you have a PC, it obviously costs a lot. That's because it's not mass manufactured. But when you get a console, it only costs $600, and you can potentially have the performance of a console. Yes, that's because mass manufacturing, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what, that was a bit depressing, don't you think?
Yeah. Sorry, we finished on this sad note.
Bit realistic.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure we'll turn it around next time with hopefully the soon upcoming unveiling of the PlayStation 5 games, which we are waiting so long. Sony has said soon. We don't know what soon means. Soon could be in a month's time. I mean, they don't.
Soon could mean anything.
And I think it was Jim Ryan from Sony who said that they've gone into full manufacturing mode right now. So, you know, they're going to be releasing these things in 5 months' time. So I think the time is coming that we're going to see what it looks like. We're going to see some games. We're finally going to know what we're going to pre-order. If we want to pre-order. I will definitely. I don't want to miss out. Don't know about you guys, but I don't want to miss out because that's happened before with the PS4.
Yeah.
So, you know, jump on it, man, because you'll be waiting a few months' time before they send more. They ship out more to Australia. God, I'm going to keep adding things. American dollar versus Australian dollar. Oh, we're doing great, guys. 70 cents to the dollar. Go Australia. It's gone up. It's well gone done. Up. Holy well done to everyone. Good work. Yeah. So here we go. Let's do some little comments in there. So Jason says, soon it's between now and in 5 months' time. Yeah. I know, man. I mean, we're already halfway through the year, though. I woke up and it's like, whoa, June 2020. What up? Well, I woke up and thought,
We're really close to Cyberpunk. Sorry, that's my timeline. My life revolves around September.
Cyberpunk is the meaning of life. Yes.
The Earth isn't flat. It just revolves around Cyberpunk.
Yes, exactly. It's just the disc that keeps spinning, man.
So Sam says he's planning to pre-order as well. K-Bear 2002. I'll wait for the kinks to be ironed out. Hey, hang on. Sony has never got any kinks in their devices. Nah.
Perfect day one. Perfect.
And PlayStation usually launch in March for Australian release. Do you think it'll be March? That's really late in the year.
I mean, I think it's no. Actually, they made an announcement that they want to make it worldwide. Yeah. Pray to Jesus. They want to make it worldwide release. Yeah, that's their goal. And I think they're gonna do it.
What in this year, like 2020?
It'll be like November 2020, like worldwide release. Instead of having these, releases in different countries in different months and all of that, because they've done that Sony Studio approach now as well. Okay. Like the Universal Studio, like the one. Sony one, basically, as opposed to have Sony Europe and Sony East Asia.
I always found that weird.
Well,
I always found that weird because they go, Sony Europe. Well, Sony Europe is not performing. Therefore, we're going to cut the jobs over there. We're going to get rid of that studio. And we're going to create a Sony Ukraine because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense to have, like, these weird names. But I suppose maybe when you're, like, counting money, it does.
Yeah. Exactly. Dollar bills, yo.
All right, we free every time we go. All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll catch you. And by the way, one more thing. So, Casper, where can we find you, my friend?
Oh, guys, you can find me, apart from here, you can also find me at the Game with Casper channel on YouTube. So come on down. I like to jump on the Twitch, usually 8 p.m. most evenings if I can get on there. Currently playing Batman Arkham Knight. Yeah, I know, it's an old game. It's 5 years old. But 2 weeks' time, come on down and we're going to play some Last of Us 2 with super special guest, Tech and Pat here. We're both going to be taking turns getting wiped out, most likely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll put the link in the comments below so you guys can check that out. I do feel special, but it'll only probably be on one episode because you stream, what, nightly?
Oh, I try to. Yeah. Sometimes, like, on the weekends, it'll be in the afternoon. But probably, like 3 or 4 times a week at least.
Yeah. Karita says, puppy. Yes, she was on for a little bit, but she has now gone to eat dinner. Or maybe I probably should feed the dog, but I think maybe my wife.
Maybe that's why she came along. Yeah,
maybe that's why.
My food, human.
Human food now.
Yeah.
So, friends, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the State of the Beans Talk. If anybody's wondering where that's coming from, and we'll catch you next week, same time. Same YouTube.com. And again,
different place.
Thank you very much for everyone who joined in and chatted. Thanks, John. Thanks, Karita. Thanks, Golden Hen, Sam, Jason, Laughing Logic, K-Bear, Jackson, Hammy's gone already, Shane. We got everybody. I think we did, actually. And hey, it's KC. There you go, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. How do I press pause? Stop.